Hello everybody, hello traders, welcome to the weekly market outlook. My name is Dima and I'm going to have a look at some high probability trade scenarios with you for this week, see what the market is giving us, what it is hinting at, and whether we can make the most of what we've got for this week in the price action. So without further ado, let's have a look first of all at the economic calendar and then look at some of the setups I've picked out for this week, and we'll see where the market goes from there as we progress throughout the week. So let's have a look at the calendar first of all. Okay, so checking out the calendar for the week here on the site for the week of August 21st to the 25th, and I've just filtered it down by the importance of the event. We can see here all the events of the economic calendar for low, medium and high news. And 21st of August, Monday, we've not really got much here. It's mostly medium importance news, and there's nothing really that would indicate that we've got lots of volatility or something that is important. Paying attention to all of these are fairly of low importance. We do have one on Tuesday, 22nd, at 3 p.m. GMT in the New York session. Home sales there of higher importance. And then if we go throughout the week, later in the day, we've got medium news on the New Zealand dollar from New Zealand. And then the next day we have some more medium impact news. But the one that I would pay attention to is the PMI numbers here on the 23rd. That's Wednesday. That's at the New York session. And then let's have a look at what else we've got here. All medium, low, medium. Nothing much going on this week. It may be a quiet week, especially as we are in the summer months as well. We have here on the 20. Let's have a look here. On the 25th, we've got more medium impact news, and what do we have as the most high impact? Initial jobless claims here. So that's on the 24th, again at the New York session. So I would pay attention to that. Apart from those, everything else is not really of that much importance. So just one or two, maybe three throughout the week to look at. So let's see what the charts are telling us, and then we will go from there. It's mostly dollar news. We can see some pound medium impact, and from New Zealand as well. But apart from that, not much going on this week in terms of the calendar. All right then, so this is what we've got for this week. Here's my short list of the charts we're going to cover. Euro dollar, the Nasdaq 100, pound yen, pound New Zealand, euro pound, Aussie CAD, gold and oil. So let's begin with euro dollar. Looking at the monthly picture, we are in this range. Looking at the weekly picture, we have had a breakdown and we've had multiple lows being broken, and the market is breaking down with the strength of the dollar. What does that mean? Well, we're going to look at a continuation to the next obvious levels where the market resides, and that is this low here and another end of this price gap right here, where we could look for the second target. Now, if I look on the lower time frames, we've got on the daily, we've got obvious weakness in the price action. Let's have a quick look at the 4 hour. You can see that as market has been trending here, and what I would look for is a possible better price at these highs, at this swing high, to get a better price and then continue downwards towards, so something like this, down towards these targets here. So we've got the 1.08, and if we don't have that, if we don't get a better price, we may miss the move. That also happens, but the real point of invalidation would be this high up here. So if we breach that high, then we'll have to reassess and perhaps reevaluate the the market would not be giving us what we are after. So then we'll have to just sit aside. Don't always get what you want, so let's see how the price action unfolds, but definitely looking for that better price and then continuing downwards. And we'll see if it breaks through this level of invalidation. So as you can see, here's the next obvious level down. Here we've got the next one after that, and between there and here we've got about, not much, 50 pips, and then further down is about 100 pips. So that's the euro there, continuing on that weakness. Let's go to the next chart. We've got the Nas100 here. So what do we see here? Well, we see that off this level here, the market has began to turn around, and the monthly has broken through the last month's candle. Looking at the weekly, at this extreme expensive price, looking on the weekly, we've had a breakdown on the weekly and multiple lows have been broken, so structure has been broken. So therefore we can say that we are going further to the downside. Where are we going to go to? Well, we've got the next level, obvious level down here, and then again this gap in the price where price has not come back to down there. So this is what I'll be looking at for NAS, and the bias, the idea would be to the downside. Now, where do we want to sell from? Well, obviously we want to sell from a nice expensive price to get a nice good price. So where is that? Well, we've got a gap up here, and we've also got a gap up here. If you want to draw the fib, if that's your thing, then you can see the halfway mark is down here, and then anything above that is a more expensive price point. So let's see where it turns around. If it does it here or here, I don't know, but a continuation to the downside is the more favored scenario. Now again, I'm going to draw an invalidation point, which would be up here, and that means that if we break through that, then this setup is no longer high probability anymore, and we'll have to reassess. So that's the reference point right here, or about the 15,000 level, and we'll see whether we get the price action and that turnaround. Of course, you always want to get a better price, much more expensive price. So we'll see if that is the case when we get there, if we get there. The other scenario is, of course, if the market completely drops, then you'd have to look for another entry, another swing to head lower. Okay, so you can see that weakness very clear, and that is the NAS on the bigger picture. Now we've got that what looks to be a turnaround in this in and around this level. Okay, let's move to the next one. Let's have a look at pound yen. So here's pound yen, bullish, very clearly bullish, bullish, bullish. Price action, we've got the next target being up here, and then the one after that being at the high. So with these targets in mind, let's have a look back on the weekly, still clearly bullish. Let's go look on the daily. What do we have? Well, we have a level here, which could act as so-called support resistance. We have another one here, and if I look on the lower time frame, what could we see? Well, we could see an area here, and also here where we mark the level. So from here, what do? Well, we're going to look for a turnaround in the price action, and then for the market to continue doing its thing. Now, I don't know if it does it here at this area or lower. However, some kind of turnaround and then creating a new swing and gradually going back higher into the target level would give us a nice, what would it be, around, yeah, 400 pips or so. So plenty in it once we get the turnaround, if we get a turnaround, and you may want to wait for that to happen. What is the invalidation level? Well, again, let's mark one out, and it will be this low down here. So this low, or if you want to be safe, this extreme obvious low down here. And wait for that swing, wait for that turnaround to happen, and then look to get on. Below here would be invalidated, and also if we head higher, then the alternative scenario to that, to what we're just looking at here, is if we go higher and then we get something like straight away we break these highs, then we're confirming higher, and then the next swing would be about that kind of situation. So we'll see if that actually happens. The price action will tell us what we need to know, but that is the rough idea of the setup for this week. If it happens, right? It's all a game of probabilities. Just reminding you that, you know, you have to manage your risk, and as always, it's just a case of repeating the process again and again, and then letting the market just do its thing. Okay, let's move on to the next one. We've got Pound New Zealand. Let's have a look on the monthly. Once again, we can see very, very bullish. Where are we aiming to next? Looks like this high, doesn't it? And after that, we have this obvious high to the left. So bullish, as it looks quite obvious. And here's that high. Very, very, very bullish. Extreme strength in that Pound New Zealand. What are we going to look at next? Well, next we will want to see a nice retracement, so we really want to see a better price. Where would that happen? Well, we've got a level here that we can look at, and the invalidation point would be this obvious low. So if we do have a turnaround here, something like so, this would be something I'd be interested in, and that would be a possible scenario. However, we don't really know. It is ranging at the moment, so if this does not happen and we continue going bullish because of its extreme bullishness, you can see just how bullish it is. It just keeps breaking new highs, new highs, new highs. Then the alternative scenario would be something like this in terms of probability. It's always a game of probabilities. But of course, that would be a higher price, not as cheap as the one down here. Let's see if that is the case. And then again, price action will tell us the story. At the moment it's ranging, it could range more. The longer the range of the market, the faster the move when it does actually pop. That's usually what happens. So we'll see if it does pop to the upside and how it actually does it. We really want to have a nice deeper retracement and a swing before looking at this as a high probability scenario to continue on the long. Now, of course, this invalidation means that I'm gonna leave that aside and then reevaluate, have a look perhaps on a higher time frame and see what's going on. But that is the scenario for Pound New Zealand. Okay, I'm going to look at the next one, which is Euro Pound. Zoom out. Let's look at the bigger picture once again. Always want to see the higher time frame. It's always the important thing. Higher time frame is the daddy, the king of the market direction, the overall direction. So here we are on the monthly. At the moment we see currently a weakness. However, we're getting these wicks to the downside, and it seems like the market is slowing down since we last saw this big push to the downside. Looking at the weekly, we are kind of stuck in a range. Now the question is, you can see that the last obvious low is down here, and now we are in this area of interesting price action, and we've begun to accumulate. The downside is no longer, it's kind of faded, and now the question is going to be, are we going to reverse here? So now let's look at the daily. It seems that since we are still in the downtrend, I would favor the downside on Euro Pound, but I would say that more or less this is a, compared to the other scenarios, the other charts for this week, this is a bit of a lower probability scenario because we are still in a range and still not clear what's going on here. Really want to see a direction, the market take its direction before looking to enter, and it hasn't really done so. Still, as you can see, moving up and down, kind of rejecting off this area. Now, what we'd like to see is, if this indeed is going to be a reversal, then we want to see a nice break here, a real push to the downside, and then a reversal, perhaps like so. And for that, in order for that to happen, to really know whether that is the case, we need to see multiple highs being broken. So this high and all these highs being broken, but that may take some time. Remember, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days where we had the downside and no sign of a turnaround just yet. So we're still bearish overall. And if we look at this area here, we can see that the market has left a kind of a gap there. So the other scenario probability, if we don't get a straight dive down on the euro pound, is a better price and capitalize on the short-term move of this level to the downside, and then perhaps a reversal. So it'll be a kind of a question mark of what happens when we get to, let's put a little text, what happens when we get here. So here we are. The invalidation really should be this low here, because that's where the market began its really fast energetic move, as you can see. If we go below this level, but that is quite some pips away, it's about 100 pips away, that's a lot for euro pound. Below this level we are heading lower. However, we'll see what happens at this zone, at this orange level. Really want to see nice clear push, nice clear break of all these highs in order for us to really say that, okay, the market is now in a high probability buy scenario. So far we're ranging, but high time frame we are in a sell idea here. Okay, so that's the scenario for euro pound. Like I said, not the highest probability, as you can see, ranging. So we're going to have to bear that in mind. Again, we have a little bit of pound news, not very major. It's not really much going on this week in terms of high impact news on the events calendar. Let's see how it unfolds. It may be one to wait for. You may want to, sometimes just sit on your hands, put your hands underneath your thighs and wait. Don't get the urge to click that mouse. All right. Okay, let's move on to the next chart, next one on our list. And that one is Aussie CAD. So what we can see is huge bearish momentum to the downside. The next obvious low to reach for is here. And after that, we have this swing point right here that we can see. So quite clear to see the bearishness at the moment. Going on the weekly, again, continuing to the downside. Let's just mark that out cleanly. So if it is continuing to the downside, what would we look for? Well, idea is to look for a better price and then to sell from the nice expensive price if we're going short. So what we can see here is a kind of a trend being created. We do have a kind of a level here which we're rejecting from. So what I would like to see or prefer to see is something like this. So a nice kind of rejection here of the zone and then continuing to the downside. And want to see this zone hold, and that would create a high probability scenario. Now if it does not hold and we have a break of this high here and subsequently the next highs, then the probabilities would not be in our favor anymore, and then the market is more likely to reach higher rather than lower. In that case, I would just leave it alone and watch and wait to see where the market goes from there. At the moment, still bearish, as you can see, very clear, no real turnaround potential here. I want to see it move lower, and then this is the first target. Not really far away, is it? About 100. Yeah, 100 pips or so, and the next one is much further down. So yeah, it's ranging at the moment. We'll see how it plays out. And do we have, no, we don't have Aussie news, we don't have major CAD news, so yeah, it may be a slow one. Once again, remember, it's the summer months, summer, middle of August, and we may have slow price action as well. So that's another thing to bear in mind in terms of putting the probabilities in your favor. Don't really want to be rushing into anything at the moment. That's the Aussie CAD scenario. Let's move on to the next one. Here we've got gold. All right, here's the gold. What do we see on gold? Well, we've got overall bullishness. However, now we have broken the lows of the previous months. It looks like we are going lower, at least temporarily. And now we've broken these lows, we're heading lower. Where are we heading lower to? Well, we've got this last obvious swing to aim for. And after that, we've got these lows down here. So that's the bias for the week. We also see a gap here, so it may come and fill this gap. Gaps mostly get filled, so that is the probability that I'm looking at. Now what we can see is we've had a very obvious trend develop, and now the question is, will this trend hold or will we be broken? If I go to the higher time frame, and let's just go back to the weekly a second. So if we break back above here at this high in the week, then I'll have to reevaluate that sell idea, that downside. For the moment, we're looking to go down. So what are we looking to go down from? Well, we want to see a nice better price. There's a bit of a level that developed over here, didn't it? So once again, a push to the upside, getting a better price, a nice expensive price to sell from, to the downside, to the target is what is the preferred scenario. Of course, if we range, we do nothing. If we break higher, the same, do nothing, we'll have to reassess. But the probability in this scenario, in this case, for what we see this week with gold, is still to the downside unless we see otherwise. That's what the price action is telling us, and that's what we've got so far. So yeah, we'll just have to go with it where it's at the moment. So that is gold, and let me just move to the next one. So finally we've got oil again. Let's just start on the monthly, shall we? Got some bullishness here on the monthly. The candle shows bullishness price action, a possible reversal here, and we are now what looks to be getting out of this very long-term range. However, it's not clear yet. We have not yet cleared fully of this high, the swing high. So we are still in an overall very large time frame range, and you can see that here, quite obvious to see, isn't it? Until we have a very strong breakout and we clear this high, then at the moment we are not certain that we are going higher just yet. So what do we look for? Well, let me just delete this. What we can see is we have last week broken some lows. We're now in this uncertain price action, still not very clear what it is doing. Now the question is, we have broken these lows, are we going to head lower, or is this just a temporary pause to go higher? Now the way to know would be a break of this low once again would be significant clue to the downside, in which case I'll be looking at this as the target. You can see a kind of a level right here. That will be the next target to look for, and we've got a possible area here for reversal, and that is still not very high probability because we are still bullish on the higher time frame based on the previous month's candle, and we're not quite clear if we are going lower because we're still in a range here. So I wouldn't say that shorting from here, although it's a good price, is the highest probability. However, this scenario, breaking down lower, would be preferred before entering a sell. So like the euro pound, not the highest probability here, not the best scenario, because it's just not clear. It's just not obvious. There's no clear turnaround price action here. We've left wicks to the downside. We have broken these highs, so it's kind of bullish, but then on the daily it seems bearish for now. Let's look on the 4 hour. If we have a break of this swing right here, that's definitely a no-go market, because we are back in this range. So we really want to see this level hold and then come down to downside and breaking the low here, in order to signify that we are going to head lower, at least for the short term. Now, remembering that we are in this big range and don't really want to trade ranges, they're not high probability. So that's the scenario over here on oil. We have some significant areas to watch for in case they get broken, and in that case we reevaluate the market. And then we have the overall idea, which is the scenario for the trade for the week. So we do have a bit of US based news. We'll see if that affects oil or not, and otherwise the price action will be dictating. We'll see later in the week as we go and we follow the market, and then we see where the price action, what the price action gives us, how it develops, and maybe make a adjustment there, a decision after. But like I said, at the moment, not the best. I did pick this out because it was better than others. However, still, I'm going to repeat it again. August, summer, not the best time to trade. So I'm not surprised if we just don't get the price action. It may range for a while. It may just move sideways. That is oil, and these are the scenarios. That's the outlook. And here we are back on the euro dollar. So guys, that is this week's market outlook. Hope that helps you make your decision, and remember to leave a comment, like the video, and if you do have some setups, then obviously it's good to interact and leave a comment if you've got any other ideas as well. Okay, thanks very much for watching, and I will see you throughout the week as the market develops and we have a look at what happens in the price action, and then we go from there. So let's keep track of the markets and keep focus, manage your risk as always. Thank you very much for watching and spending your time here with me, and I will see you on the next video and the next update as the week develops. All right, guys, bye for now.